decided to take a little trip so that we could see the beautiful fall foliage and things like that. And so we're in Sonoma County, Guerneville to be in fact, and we come to the mothership. Korbel, baby! We get to take a tour and see how it's all made, and I'll try and sneak a bottle or two out, or three, or maybe a case, I don't know, we'll see.
Welcome to Korbel.
Thanks.
The Korbels were from
When do we drink?
In 2 minutes.
Great.
And a lot.
Great!
The Korbel brothers were from Bohemia. They came here for the gold rush. By the way, Bohemia is part of the Czech Republic. They came here for the gold rush. That was their big plan, to get rich on gold and start a new life. But they missed it by about 6 years. Kind of embarrassing. And they ended up...
Well, too bad they didn't really make something of themselves.
I know, right? What a loss. So basically they thought, okay, a gold rush we missed, we'll do a cigar factory, because gold rush and cigars went hand in hand. So by the time they got here, there were about, 400 cigar rollers in San Francisco. So the idea of them doing something great for the community and starting a business with cigars didn't really work out the way they wanted. So they pulled up their sleeves and started working in cigar factories. At this point, they went ahead and realized once they were in there, nobody was making cigar boxes. So they started restoring cigar boxes, and one way or another, they ended up getting it together to buy this property up here because they needed wood. So they bought this property for $2,000 for 1,000 acres of redwoods. Wow. With the largest steam run sawmill in California in the parking lot area. To give you an idea, this is one tree. This is a 2,000-year-old redwood that was cut down about 130 years ago. And when you cut down the old trees, it's really hard. They'd put a ladder up against it, axe out apart. Two guys would stand on the ladder and saw back and forth for like 2 weeks. And then the tree would fall. Once it fell, it sends out suckers, and that's called a fairy ring. The tree lives on. So
that's really cool.
It's beautiful. If you stand in the middle after it rains, you get rainbows. It's a really great thing.
See, that just tells you, sometimes you think you know what you're going to do. You just have to pivot, man. Pivot and go. First, they were going to do gold, and then cigars, cigar boxes, and now look.
And a really cool thing is, if you look up our hill, there's a tower up there. And Francis Korbel was the oldest of all the brothers and sisters. Francis was a little political at one point in time.
Wait a minute, a rich white guy was political?
Stop
it! You don't say.
Yeah, just a little political. At one point, there was a big protest against the Habsburgs when he was going to school in Prague at the university, and he stood up. Apparently, allegedly, that's the word I was looking for, shot off a gun in the protest to get everybody's attention, to say my idea is better than your idea, so listen up. And the Habsburg guards pounced him and threw him in jail, and he saw that out of his prison window when he was imprisoned in Prague.
And that's where he met his wife, Rapunzel.
And they lived happily ever after.
How long was he in prison?
He was actually sentenced to 17 years. 2 for shooting off a gun and 15 for all the rest of the shenanigans he'd been up to. But he was broken out of prison by his mother, who broke him out after 2 years.
That's a good mom.
That's a good mom.
I would prison break my kid out.
Yeah.
Absolutely prison break my kid out.
I would too.
Yeah,
so
that's real motherhood right there. So this is where the magic begins, is that correct?
Yes, this is where the trucks come in and the bubbles start. The grapes all come in here. We're at the crush pad right now.
When you say crush pad, what does that mean?
That means that's where the whole grapes come in, and they squeeze the grapes to get the juice. So what happens is, when you're making the method champenoise, which is the traditional way you make champagne, what happens is that the grapes come in here. We want to pick the grapes a little early because there's less sugar in the grapes, because sugar makes alcohol, and alcohol and yeast in a small space make a lot of pressure. So we want to get them a little early. They come in here from all over California, only California, and they come up and they go back to a place called Sugar Shack.
Now, is that similar to B-52's Love Shack?
No.
Okay. Well, what's in here?
That's juice. Those are the stainless steel tanks covered in gunite.
So is this where you would just take a little drink?
Absolutely not.
No, yep, you're absolutely right. I'm coming, guys.
Over here is where the magic actually starts. Trucks pull up here and dump into the auger,
Okay.
and all the weight of the grapes in the truck have crushed the ones on the bottom. So there's a lot of free run. So free run is just the natural juice from the weight. So that is the best of the best. The rest of the grapes go up the conveyor belt into the bladder presses. So a bladder press is a huge balloon that expands in a cylinder that turns. We do 4 presses for each bunch of grapes. Once you get the juice, then the juice becomes a base wine. So you put that together in the bottle with yeast, sugar, a lot of love, and a bottle cap, and it sits for 2 to 5 years. The yeast eats the sugar, making the bubbles, and the bubbles break down and break down and break down. At the end, you have 4 billion dead yeast cells glued to the bottom of the bottle, and the Riddler in the old days would turn and slam all day, every day to get the yeast to the neck. Then they freeze the neck of the bottle. So then they take off the bottle cap and the yeast shoots right out, and they add pure cane sugar and base wine back to it to choose the style, dry, medium, or sweet.
So these are bottles of
Champagne.
Okay, I need to stay away from that. So let me pull this one out then.
Each stack, give or take, is like 5,250 cases.
Okay,
So
say
5,
that one
10,
more
15,
time.
20.
Each stack is what?
Each stack, like these
Yeah,
right here, this row is 5,250 cases.
This is like a year's worth of champagne then. And tell me again why the arrows are down.
Because all of the yeast is falling to the neck now.
Okay, and so do they ever point up?
When they first bottle it. So remember, it gets bottled and put in the box, and then 1 month-ish, depending on what kind, with the neck up.
Yes.
And then they turn it upside down and it falls to the neck.
Oh, and so you can see here how far it actually goes back.
Sharon, no!
That is sugar, pure cane sugar
From Hawaii?
from Hawaii.
Pure cane sugar. From Hawaii.
I do that all the time on my tour. People are like, what's wrong with her? Okay, pure cane sugar from Hawaii. We use pure cane sugar. We don't use fructose. We don't use any of the other fake sugars. We are one of the few left that uses pure cane sugar. This thing is really cool because it's strong. You don't have to break your back.
I need that to get me out of bed in the morning.
This is the fun part, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so watch. It comes through here. Now, it sprays it with water usually. I don't know if it's going to do a mist.
Okay.
Because what's happening is this is coming over and going straight down, and then the boxes, watch, it'll pick them up with a suction cup.
Oh my God.
And look, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Nerve-wracking. It's amazing though, right?
Yes.
And so that goes straight down into the tray. Okay, that's the tray of the gel that freezes it.
Okay.
So I want to show you what the neck looks like when it's frozen. So come on over here. So watch, here it comes. See?
Oh, it's all frozen.
It's all frozen. And see, the bottle caps are on it. And it's super cold and frozen.
Doing it our way.
Make our dreams come true and we'll do it our way, yes, our way.
I mean, this is so Laverne and Shirley right now, right?
So what happens now is you're going to hear a lot of pop, 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 pop. You hear that?
Uh-huh.
You're hearing the top come out, and the pop is the power of the pressure in the bottle shooting out the yeast.
Oh
There's 100 pounds per square inch. Then the sugar goes in and they even it out. So every single bottle is the same exact.
How do they even it out? That
A
machine
little
there?
bit, well that tries, but it's organic process. So some are bubblier than others.
Yeah.
So pretty much see that
Oh, I
he's doing
see.
that. They either it can go in or out. So they want to make it perfect. Go, Sharon! my favorite part. So then the cork goes in and the cage goes on so it doesn't pop out.
Okay.
This is the original size of the cork. Then the machine will squish it smaller than the size of the hole in the bottle. And then it will push it in. So the caps are still loose. We have a spot here, you can't see it. It's a UV light ink.
Oh, okay.
And those photo eyes will look for this to know where to create the pleats and always have the Korbel in the center. Same thing, we're gonna use the same spotting mark on the labeler, so you can end up with these two labels oriented. Yeah.
Why can you call it champagne?
Well, for starters, Korbel has been producing champagne since 1882, 142 years. So back to probably 2015, 2025, we started putting California on the label. So it was Korbel California Champagne. In 2006, there was a treaty with 26 countries, including the European Union, that gave brands that were producing champagne with the appellation of origin, California, New York, Russian River, would be allowed to continue doing so because they were grandfathered in. So it would actually take an act of Congress, no kidding, act of Congress to change that, to take the champagne off of our label. The champagne and California is the same typeface. We are required to do that by law. But when we sell something outside the US, those bottles are called method traditional or sparkling wine, California sparkling wine.
see.
Same process, we just stick a different label on
So
there.
you can call it champagne if you're selling it in the United States.
Absolutely.
But you call it sparkling wine if you're selling it outside of the U.S.
Right.
Fascinating.
One that we're drinking, I thought we would start because it's the driest. It's good to go from dry to sweet.
Okay.
This one is the Natural, the one we talked about that's at the inaugurations that is grown across the street.
Oh, okay.
So this one is 64 Pinot Noir, 36 Chardonnay.
Okay.
That's the cuvee, the blend.
Right.
And so it's aged 1 month with the neck up and 18 months on its neck.
Got it.
So it's very fruit forward. You get a lot of the flavors, the crisp Pinot fruitiness, Chardonnay. It's delicious. This one is a vintage. It's a 2020.
Okay.
So that's important because a vintage, that means all the grapes came from that year. So that's specific to that blend. The natural will always try and taste about the same, but if there's a flood or a fire or something that changes nature, it will be probably a little different every year. Keep in mind that non-vintage is super special and something you can count on forever. So all the ones that you get in the grocery stores or around that you find will always taste exactly the same, which is so special because you can't count on anything anymore. And the Root Rosé got us through the pandemic at my house. So feel free to start that and see what you think.
So on wine, I know like you spin it, you look for legs. What about for champagne? Is there a
You want
special
to
way
look
to
at the
taste it?
bubbles, and you want the bubbles to keep coming up. So that's what, because it's method champenois, that's what makes it more effervescent or bubbly than, say, product that's been done in the Charmant process or in the bulk process. The difference, I mean, the easy difference between this one has been aged for a couple of years, but those other can be made in a tank in like 3 months. They can spin those around. Prosecco, they can spin that around pretty fast. These, because they're aged, you'll notice that the bubbles will continue to come up, and so it'll stay fresher a little bit longer in your glass.
Yeah, because they're still coming up, and you poured that a bit ago.
And this one is our only vintage dated product that we sell outside the winery. Limited. We do about probably 10,000 cases, but it's the only one that we sell outside the winery. So this is like our upper tier because it's only 2 grapes, whereas the other, the Brut Rosé and all of that, they're a blend of about 5 different grapes.
I will tell you, this one is my favorite. This is the one that I get.
Always.
And that's why. Oh, it's so good.
This one's an interesting one. This one you either really like or you don't. So this is basically Pinot Noir 100%. It's aged on the skins. It hits oak, and then it's fermented in the bottle the second time. So it's oaky and smoky and red and cold and bubbly. So when you're drinking it, this is a personal thing. The first thing is that I always think, my taste buds go, what? No, this is wrong. You can't do this. This is wrong. And then the second sip is like, hold up, this tastes so good. The flavors are so good. And then the third
Hold up. That's very good. Hold up.
And then third sip, you like it or you hate it. There's like, that's where you decide.
I love it. Okay, so that's Korbel. So make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss an episode. And as always, I will see you next Tuesday. Cling, cling. Start the car! Start the